Hey, this is Dennis with Initial Ascent. Today I'm going to go over my 2022 gear that I'm going to carry on my early season elk hunt in Idaho. It is a rifle hunt, so I'll be carrying a rifle. What I'm going to do is just go over stuff in general, kind of give you a little intro, and then I'm going to break it down into categories so we can talk specifically about gear in the certain categories. First, I'll just touch on the pack that I'm going to be using, and this is our Initial Ascent 2K with the lid. I've also got the pannier load carrier in between the 2K bag and the frame. And basically I'm going to use this because the hunt that I'm going on, I've got several locations that I have to drive to, and I'll spend probably 3-4 days in each location. So if I don't harvest anything that first 3-4 days, I'll probably move to another spot. So 3-4 days is basically the max I'm going to be out, and I'll probably be between 6 to 8 miles from the truck at the furthest, so I can easily come back and get supplies if I need to. Every 3 or 4 days I'll have to come back out. Even if I'm going to stay in that area, I'll come back out and get food again, so for another 3 or 4 days. So that's the pack. I'll talk about my rifle, I'll talk about my sleep system, talk about my optics, the clothes that I'm going to wear, the clothes that I'm going to pack. I'll talk about just miscellaneous gear. I'll talk about my cookware, my shelter, and anything else that I'm going to carry with me on this hunt. Okay, the first section I'm going to cover is going to be what I'm going to wear in, including my bino harness. So we'll start with the bottoms. I've got merino boxer briefs by Kryptek, the Prana stretch Zion pants. I really like those pants. For a top base layer, I've got the Arrow Wool Wick. This is the 150, ultralight 150 from First Lite. I really like that piece. And then this piece is going to go over that. This is from Kryptek, and this is the sonora-hooded-shirt. So boots wise, I'm going to wear the Crispi Lapponias. And I've got a set of Sheepfeet inserts in there. And then over that, I'll have my Peaks gaiters. Then for my bino harness, I've got the Muley Freak bino harness. This is the second generation. And just while I'm here, I won't talk about optics yet, but I'll just talk about what I've got in my bino harness. So I've got dead downwind wind detector. I've got an Outdoorsman bino adapter for a tripod. I do carry a little lens cloth in here. Underneath, I've got a tourniquet. I always want to have that to where it's with me at all times, just in case something happens. In the front pocket here, I've got a couple of pouches of pyro putty, fire starter, and then I do have a Bic lighter in here that's wrapped with Leukotape. So I don't bring the whole roll of Leukotape, I just wrap it around a lighter, or I've also got some wrapped around my toothbrush. You can never have too much of that stuff. On my bino harness, I will use a carabiner and attach my Garmin InReach Mini. So this thing is it's been awesome back there. I can text loved ones and let them know I'm okay. It's also got an SOS button if things get a little western. So I'll attach that to this front zipper pull on my bino harness, and that'll be where I can find it. The last thing that I'm going to wear in will be this knife, fixed blade knife. It's the Nitro V by Goat Knives, and it's got the Allen key back here as well. And the other knife that I carry, which is a replaceable blade knife, is also from Goat Knives, and it actually has the individual Allen wrenches, and I'll bring 2 of those. So one thing I forgot about when we were unloading the table from the stuff that I'm going to carry in or have on me, my socks. So these are Crispi merino socks. They're fairly thin. I just like them for hot weather. I will carry this pair, I'll wear this pair in, and then I'll have one more pair that I'll wear. And typically what I'm doing is I'm swapping my socks every other day. And so I'll just have 2 pairs of socks since I'm going to be coming back to the truck after 3 or 4 days. So now that I've talked about the clothes that I'm going to wear in, I'm going to talk about the clothes that I'm going to pack. So I already mentioned the Crispi merino socks. I'll bring this extra pair. This is the cronos-hoodie from Kryptek. It's a grid fleece, and I really love that for a mid-weight piece, so that's just an extra layer that I can add, and I really like that piece. Insulation layer, I will not bring the puffy pants this time, but the puffy that I'm going to bring is the cirius-down-jacket from Kryptek. I've got a pair of light gloves, also Kryptek, and then I've got a beanie from Kryptek as well. The last piece that I'm going to pack, this is my rain jacket. So this is the Koldo rain jacket from Kryptek. Okay, now I'm going to talk about the optics that I'm going to bring. The optics are all going to be sitting on this slick CF 634, and on top I've got the Outdoorsman micro pan head. For my binos, I'm carrying 10x42s. These are from Zeiss. These are the Victory RF, so these are the range finding binoculars. I really like these things, especially low light conditions. They are just perfect. So the best glass I've ever used. Speaking of good glass, this is my spotter, and it comes in at like 27 ounces. And this is a TSN 553 from Kowa, and it's a 15 to 45, and it is just it's awesome. So really like what I've got here. Now this on the end here is something that I've recently added, and this is by MagView. And this basically is my digiscoping adapter, and it just stays on as a lens cover, and then it's magnetic. So I've got a little piece on my iPhone glued to the back of it. It's just a piece of metal, and then you have a magnet right here. You put it on there and it just locks into place. Very quick and easy to use, and so that's what I'm going to try out for my digiscoping adapter for the year. Now I'm going to discuss what I'm going to bring in my hydration kit. So I'm going to start with this bottle. So this is a GSI Microlite 1000. It's insulated. It is a little bit heavier than your standard Nalgene, but man, I like keeping things hot and also keeping things cold if I can, and so this really helps me do that. Now this bottle will go in the initial ascent water bottle holder, which is on my pack, so it fits very snug in there and sits just right. For dirty bags, I'll actually carry 2 of these HydroPack Seeker 3 liters, and one of which I've got a string attached to, and so when I'm carrying this full of water, I typically just lace it over the ears of my frame, and then it just resides up on top of my pack, and I put the lid on top of it, so that kind of keeps it in place up there. For my filter, this year I'm running the Katadyn Be Free filter, and it simply screws off. It's got the filter in here, and this also fits on the Hydro Pack. So when I bring the dirty bags back, I can, you know, if I'm at camp or something, I can screw this filter in there and filter right into either my bottle or the pot if I'm gonna be cooking or just whatever. So it does come with a 1 liter, and so if you want to fill that up, I use that as a dirty bag as well. If you want to fill that up at a creek and get you a quick drink, you can do that. So I'm really liking that system. It's very, very light and folds up next to nothing. So that's what I'm using for a filter. Now, in case the filter gets plugged or becomes inoperable, ineffective, I do have some aqua tabs that I can use in a pinch. Again, I'm only going to be 3 to 4 days out there, so the truck's going to be, you know, a quick trip back, probably, you know, a couple of hours if I get into a bind. So I'll have some backup stuff at the truck if need be. The last thing that I carry in my hydration kit, if you will, are these liquid IVs. I typically carry a couple for each day that I'm going to be in there, and I'll carry it all in this Initial Ascent large pack sack. And that's the hydration kit. My sleep system. That starts with my shelter, and for this hunt I'm going to carry the Hyperlite Mountain Gear Ultimid 2. It's a Dyneema TP style tent. I'll use that with my trekking poles, which I'll show you which trekking poles I'm using here in just a second. But using that, and got my stakes in here. It is a floorless setup, so that's what I'm going to be running for a shelter. Next would be my pad, and this is a Big Agnes AXL insulated pad. Very light, very comfortable. It is a little bit thicker than most pads. I think it's 3 to 4 inches thick once you get it blown up. So I really like that. I don't feel my hips or my shoulders. I'm a side sleeper, so I don't feel my hips or my shoulders hitting the ground with this. And it is insulated, so that comes in handy when I use the quilt that I'll go over here in just a second. My pillow, always have to have a pillow. The Eros pillow from Sea to Summit, very light, and it's comfortable for me. So my quilt that I'm going to be bringing is one I've used for the last 2-3 years, and it's the Enlightened equipment, and it's a 20-degree quilt. So I don't like to go, even though I'm in warmer season, I don't like to go any less than a 20-degree bag, and because I can always open it up, you know, even on those warmer nights, I'll be fine with that. So that's my sleep system. I do like to, you know, carry a little bit better pad now that I'm, you know, a little bit older. I like to carry a little bit better pad, so I'll go between the Big Agnes, and then I've got another one that's a Thermarest. It's their insulated pad, and I really like that. That's the X-Therm once we get into a little colder weather. So the insulation rating on that is a little bit higher than this one. So this is perfect for early season. Now, electronics. And headlamp is included in that. So I'll talk about that first. This year I'm using the Peaks Backcountry Duo headlamp. This is the best headlamp that I've used thus far. I've used a lot of different ones from Petzl to Black Diamond, and I just really like the simplicity of this. I love the battery life. It's very, very bright if you want it to be. So it's got different levels on it. So check that one out if you haven't already. It's rechargeable, and so you don't have to worry about batteries with this one. So speaking of rechargeable, I have my micro USB cord, and I also carry the Goal Zero Venture 30. I've had luck with this, and it's been good. So since I'll be out for 3 or 4 days and then back to the truck, it's really easy to run this kit. It's fairly minimal. I don't have to bring a solar panel, so that'll be plenty of power to get me a couple of iPhone charges, which I may have to charge it one time when I'm out there. Same thing with the InReach Mini. I won't have to worry about that a bit. And the headlamp, I've gone on 3 trips with that, and I've only had to charge it once, I think. So battery life is just outstanding on that. This extra battery that I'm carrying, that's actually for my rangefinder. So I just put it in with the electronics. I do have an iPhone charging cord, and then I do have a backup headlamp, and this is the Petzl E-Lite, and it's just really simple, very light, and just in case I get in a bind with my headlamp, I'll have a backup right there. Or in case a buddy gets in a bind with his headlamp, I'll have a backup for him as well. I carry all this in our small initial ascent pack sack. So those are our electronics. Okay, now we'll move on to the fire starting kit and the first aid kit. So this is kind of the emergency kit, if you will, or comfort kit. Starting with the first aid kit, I've got a lot of basic things, but there's a lot of stuff here. So I won't go through each and everything, but I'll just kind of give you a general overview. We'll start here. I've got some quick clot. I've got some gauze pads right here. Those are sterile gauze sponges. I do bring some Theraflu just in case. That could get me by for a day and get me feeling good enough to where I could walk out to the truck fairly easily. Assorted bandages as far as Band-Aids. This one has just assorted medicines. It's got triple antibiotic ointment in here. I've got a pair of rubber gloves, latex gloves, just a bunch of odds and ends like that. Mostly medication, ibuprofen, Motrin. There's some Benadryl in there. That's really important in case you have an allergic reaction. This is Dermaflex, so a lot of people use super glue. This has kind of been proven to work a little bit better for sealing up little cuts and that sort of thing, or helping to seal up big cuts as well. I always carry Ben's insect repellent wipes, so just in case I get out there in a low-lying area and mosquitoes get bad, those will come in handy. I have a whole wad of contacts here that I'll need. Medicine container, so I'll fill that with however much vitamins and supplements, medicine, that sort of thing that I'll need. I do have instant field repair kit for my sleeping pad. You never can tell about that when it might decide to go down. Dental floss, very important. And then this is my toothbrush, so it's got the toothbrush on one end, and then there's a tube of toothpaste on the other end. And then I have this toothbrush wrapped with Leukotape right there. So got a couple things in one there. Let's see, fire starting kit, really simple. I've got pyro putty, fire starter. I also have a backup fire starter, rim oil wipes. These things work really good. They tend to, if you set them on top of some kindling, they tend to, when they get on fire, they tend to melt down and catch the rest of it on fire. So these are really good in a pinch. Waterproof matches and the pyro putty lighter. And this is a really, really cool thing here. This is a plasma lighter, so. And I carry all of that in the small initial ascent pack sack. My first aid kit, I've got a large initial ascent pack sack that I'll carry all the first aid kit stuff in there. Last thing on the first aid kit, I kind of skipped this. I'll bring some salt stick fast chews, and these are just electrolytes, so they're salt tabs. If I'm sweating a lot, especially during a pack out, I'll be popping these things, you know, popping a couple of them about every hour. And I think 10 come in each little package here, so that should get me by for the length of my trip. So I told you I also keep a tourniquet on my bino harness, so that's all obviously a part of the emergency first aid kit as well. But with the bino harness, I'm always going to have that on me. And if I'm hunting with somebody, I always tell them where my tourniquet is, so they'll know in case something happens. You know, I get knocked out or pass out, they'll know right where to get it, and then they can apply it as necessary. Okay, so my cook kit. I carry 2 Peaks titanium spoons. You may wonder, why in the world do you carry 2? Well, I've forgotten my spoon a couple of times. As organized as I think I am, I've forgotten my spoon and had to make do in different ways that I won't mention here. So I'm always going to carry 2 spoons. That way, if there's a buddy hunting with me that forgets his spoon or somebody loses their spoon, we can always eat with a long spoon. Jetboil Micro-Mo is the stove system that I'm going to be using. I like it because it's smaller than the Mini-Mo, which I used to have, but it also has variable temperature, so you can adjust it to simmer. I really like that feature with the Jetboil Mini-Mo and Micro-Mo stoves. I'm going to carry 1 Jetboil fuel canister. That's one of the small canisters. And then last but definitely not least, the Snow Peak 450 titanium coffee cup, because I'm going to have my coffee in the morning, or at least a hot drink. So for my kill kit, I've got the Graxaw game bags. This comes in at about 6 ounces. This will be the first time I've used these. I'm probably going to use one of them to hold my food in this year, so it just cuts back on a little bit more weight, so I don't have to bring a dry bag. These are boned out game bags, and you can see they fit in the palm of my hand. So I'm going to try these, since most of the time this season I'm going to be hunting solo. I'm definitely going to be boning my harvest out if I get fortunate. So Graxaw game bags, those are awesome. Contractor bag, I always carry this. This is not really for meat, but you can use it for all different things. You can lay it out, you know, and there's just tons of uses for these contractor bags, but I'll also use it as a pack liner if I go to put a bunch of meat in my bag. That way it keeps the blood off of my bag. Dude wipes, I'll bring dude wipes just in case there's not a creek nearby, you know, and I can wipe my hands off. I can, you know, if I'm taking a picture for memories with the animal and he's got blood on his mouth or blood, you know, coming out of the wound, I can kind of clean him up just a little bit for the picture. My knife, I'm going to use the Goat Knives replaceable blade knife, and you can see it's orange, so I really like that because I'm not going to risk losing that out there. I do carry, these are the 60A blades. I do carry 3 extra blades with me, and the Goat Knife also has these Allen keys, and has a little wrench that you can put it in That's really handy. So I've got a couple of sizes of Allen screws on some of the different equipment that I've got, that if I need to tighten them up or something like that, I can do that with this. Also, the string, if I was archery hunting, this is D-loop material on this handle here. I carry all that in a large initial ascent pack sack. So you can tell I use the crap out of our pack sacks. They're just handy. They've got this little netting right here that you can see through, so I can tell at a minute's glance what is in there exactly. So I did say that I carry another knife, and I typically carry that around my neck. That is the fixed blade knife. It's the Goat Knives Nitro Tur. So I really like that knife, and typically I'm going to leave a sharpener in my truck. I won't take a sharpener out there with me, at least not if I'm going to be so close, you know, between 6 and 8 miles at the furthest away from the truck. So that's the plan, at least. But this is my kill kit for the year. Miscellaneous. This is stuff that I can't put in really any category. So I've got about 50 feet of cord here, and I actually have a couple of little titanium carabiners on there. So just in case, you just never know. My toiletry kit, got about a half roll of toilet paper for this hunt, and I'll always have extra back in the truck if need be. And then I have a bunch of dude wipes in here as well. This is a tarp. It's a 6x9 tarp by Hyperlite Mountain Gear, and it's a Dyneema tarp, and it is fantastic. It weighs nothing, and I can use my trekking poles, set it up, create some shade for myself. I can use this as a ground cloth. I can also get in out of the weather as far as the rain and that sort of thing if I'm out and it starts pouring down rain. It's really easy and quick to set up. So I always have this with me, and this resides in my lid at all times. So I know exactly where it's at. Hearing protection, I just wear these around my neck, and then when I go to shoot, I can stick them in really quick. These are the Graxaw boot dryers. So 2 separate ones. You hook it. It's got a USB cord, and you just hook it into your power source, your little power bank, and then you put these on top of your boots, and it sucks in the air and blows down through there, so you can get your boots dry. I'll do that usually in the evenings, and the boots will be good and dry within just an hour or so, depending on how wet they started. But those are pretty awesome. This is kind of a creature comfort for me. I've always had a bad back, and I'll have one pad that's this is the Thermarest Z seat. I've had it for years. Matter of fact, I probably need to replace it. But what the green part that you see, it's all rolled up, this is the Crazy Creek seat, and basically what it does is it folds out to about 90 degrees, or you can go even wider or shorter, but it also has webbing straps on both sides, and so I can sit down in it and strap myself in, and basically I can recline if I want to. I've shot several animals sitting in this because it just provides a rock solid back, and for my lower back I've got to be able to rest it during the hunt, so a seat is crucial for me. So the next thing, extra ammo. I've got 9 rounds in here, so I'll have that. That'll be in my little initial ascent hip belt pouch, so I know where it's at. Last thing on the miscellaneous list are these Peaks sissy sticks, and these are just so handy. I've used these trekking poles for, I've used this particular brand for the last probably 3 years, and just love them. They've got a carbon fiber upper and then a lower that's made of aluminum, and so they're light, but yet they hold up out there. So I'll never go on a hunt without these. I've also got some electrical tape wrapped on them, because you never can tell when you are going to need some extra tape. So the last thing that I'll show you guys, this is my rifle that I'm going to be carrying. I just got this spring, and got it from Divide Gun Company, and it is super light. So with the scope, you're just over 7 pounds. I do have a bipod on here, and this is the Spartan Precision bipod. This rifle's got a carbon fiber stock, carbon wrapped barrel. This muzzle brake is one that Divide Guns came up with, and then the scope that I have on, this is a Zeiss Conquest V4, and so this is 4-16 by 44, so extremely light, and I'm just really excited about this gun. Shooting it, it's just a dream. It's a tag driver, and it's a lighter rifle than I've ever had. So really looking forward to packing this thing around. And that was built by Divide Guns up in Salmon, Idaho. So thank you guys for tuning in. If you have any questions, I'm going to try to put all the links to everything down in the description, so you can, if you want something for yourself, you can go click on those links. Also, if you have any questions at all or any comments, please leave that. I really love to see the comments and answer the questions, so be glad to do that. If you haven't already like the video, subscribe to the channel. We'll be putting out more films like this as we go along. So thanks so much. If you want to contact us at Initial Ascent, it's initialascent.com, or you can go on to Facebook or Instagram or TikTok and get a hold of us there. Thank you guys, and have a great season.